Right, Shalom, giving all praises and glory to our power Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shah, Bahasham Rachakodash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be, Shalom, Yahshua, Shalom. All right, we'll jump over to Exodus chapter 5. All right, so it says Israel's labor increased. So it says, and afterward, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, thus said the Lord Yahweh, power of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness, right? In the wilderness out there, pretty much in the middle of nowhere, right? You have the word Madabar, right? Wilderness, pasture, uninhabited land, wilderness, large tract of wilderness around cities, wilderness figuratively, all right? So, and it says that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. All right, it's important that we get this word feast here, all right, because it talks about pilgrimage, all right? The word there is chagag. So it says to hold a feast, hold a festival, make pilgrimage, keep a pilgrim feast, celebrate, dance, stagger, all right? And this is what we want to get into. As a matter of fact, let's get the word pilgrimage, but let's just get pilgrim real quick and pull this up. So there you have pilgrim, right? So it says a person who journeys to a sacred place for religious reasons, right? And this is what the decree was, all right, from the Heavenly Father. Let my people go that they may serve me. He told Moses that he want to bring his people back here. Where I called unto you, bring them back here, all right? Mount Sinai, all right? So it says a person who journeys to a sacred place for religious reasons, pilgrim, all right? And what I wanted to get into is pilgrim feast. All right, why is that important? Because it goes into some of our main high holy days, man. What's the pilgrim feast? Let's pull it up. See, the three pilgrimage festivals in the Hebrew Bible are Pesach, which is the Passover, or the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is pretty much that same, in that week, that following week, or the same week. And then it says the Feast of Weeks, all right? And then it also says the Feast of Booth, okay? So we know there's three particular times of the year we have to report back to Jerusalem. Now, I'm talking about a later date, all right? But these are the three main ones, all right, where we have to report back to Jerusalem, all right? Feast of Tabernacles and the other two, beginning with the Sabbath day, right? Or the Passover, excuse me, all right? So when you go into, let me go back to it, all right? It says pilgrim feast. What did the Lord say? Let my people go that they may serve me. All right, and how did he spark the beginning deliverance for us out of Egypt? All right, it was through the giving of the Passover. All right, and eating of the Passover lamb and so on and so forth. So that's important to keep in mind. So it says, and Pharaoh said, who is the Lord Yahweh, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not Yahweh, neither will I let Israel go. And the Lord said that this would happen. It says that he was going to harden Pharaoh's heart, right? He wasn't going to let you go. All right, so here it is happening. It says, and they said, the God of the Hebrews hath met with us. Let us go, we pray thee, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto Yahweh our power, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with sword. And we know sword goes into fighting during the ancient days. So the only sword that was swords, knives, and things of that nature, those types of weapons. So the word here is debar. It says pestilence, plague, murrain, cattle disease, cattle plague. All right, and we've spoken about this before because we get murrain. All right, murrain says an infectious disease, especially babies, babesiosis. All right, an infectious disease, especially babesiosis, affecting cattle and other animals. All right, I believe it originates from like tick bites or something like that. All right, yeah, babesiosis. I don't know if you can hear it. I got my Bluetooth in. Actually, I didn't even hear it. Yep, babesiosis. Yep. It says a disease of cattle and other livestock transmitted by the bite of ticks. It affects the red blood cells and causes the passing of red or blackish urine. All right. So, and it also says a plague, epidemic, or crop blight. Let's see what the word blight means. Plant disease, typically one caused by fungi. such as mildew, rust, and smuts, a thing that spoils or damages something. Okay, so that's going back. So yeah, just to point those things out. All right, pestilence, plague, murrain, cattle disease, cattle plague. All right. So it says, and they said, God of the Hebrews hath met with us. Let us go, we pray thee, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto Yahweh our power, lest he fall upon us with pestilence and or with sword. And the king of Egypt said unto them, wherefore do ye Moses and Aaron let the people from their works? Get you unto your burdens. All right. So basically saying, who the hell are you? All right. What you being here is basically stopping your people. You are your people who are out there slaving. You're stopping your people from doing the work. Y'all need to go out there and get to it yourselves. Right. So get up out of here. That's basically what they were saying there. You're stopping people from doing their work, man. You go out there with them and get back to it. It says, and Pharaoh said, behold, the people of the land now are many, and make them rest from their burdens. So let's see what the other versions say. Let's get the AMP. But the king of Egypt said to Moses and Aaron, why did you take the people away from their work? You see, get back to your burdens. Pharaoh said, look, the people of the land are now many, and you would have them stop their work. You see, the very same day, Pharaoh gave orders to the Egyptian taskmasters in charge of the people and their what? Hebrew foremen. That's important when you go into the AMP or the NLT, because it won't tell you that in the KJV, but it shows you that these people set up over them were other Israelites, just like in like in the slavery periods, right? You had Jake that would be like what's his name from Django, a whole house nigga, something like that. Or you would have a slave catching another slave, because he was ass kisser the master or whatnot. So he would have a certain position, and if it wasn't for knowing that he was an Israelite and him having darker skin, you would think it was an Edomite, all right, because of the way that those particular slavers, or not slavers because they're not the masters, but those individuals that were set up, how they acted, all right, towards their own people in that position that was given to them by their master, right? So they would act no different than master. They would be nasty or whatever. They would like catch a slave. They were slaves themselves. Those would be the house ninjas. Okay. So yeah. So just like back then with the Egyptians, you had Israelites over Israelites. All right. And then in the more recent slave, because it wasn't slave, that time period wasn't as far off as school to have you think it was. All right. Those times were right around the corner from where we are now. Hey, the slavery time period was just around the corner, man. Wasn't like it was just a bunch of eons ago where it was just so old, one remembers it. Nah, man, those time periods were just around the corner, okay? But you would have, Israelites that were set up in certain positions over other Israelites. And even today, now, if you think about it, on a lesser level, but it's still the same thing, because you have Israelites who become cops. And what do? They have to, stop the people, whatever, this, that, and the third thing. But a majority of those people they're dealing with are always their own people, man. Okay. And you would sometimes see crooked cops. Like growing up in my neighborhood, you would have this, matter of fact, true story. All right. You had this group of crooked cops, man. All right. What we would call it the green machine. All right. Or they had this black Intrepid. Okay. With the green machine was also an Intrepid. If y'all remember those cars, 4-door, all black windows. And it was, under the Jump Out Boys, the detectives, man. And so you had a guy who, from a neighborhood from here, called Moywood. His name was Sean, and he would act just like them. And then, these dudes were dirty. All right, they would do all kinds of things. They were, cavity search guys, unlawfully, beside a building. Never happened to me. I'm just giving you actual facts. All right. And this dude Sean was right with him. Okay, he was from a near neighborhood right across the river, right across the light. All right, and these dudes were so dirty. Eventually, things started to get cracked down on these guys. And they got sent, other places, other, I guess, cities and states and stuff like that, and just relocated. And Sean, the dude Sean, got busted down to being like a traffic cop. So pretty much they put, everything on him. All right, he acted like them, and they put everything on him while they just got relocated. But you have individuals like that. All right, and then that's a true story, man. Growing up, okay, back when I was a teenager, all right, growing up in the hood. So it's no different, all right. Just so we got ancient example. You got a modern day example, and you got an in between example. It's all the same, man. Right? Israelites set up over Israelites, which is just to make that point. It says the very same day Pharaoh gave orders to the Egyptian taskmasters in charge of the people and their Hebrew foremen. Let's get the word foreman, because I believe it also mentions foreman in the NLT. Foreman. It says a worker, especially a man who supervises and directs other workers. Yeah. So they might even, throw a couple lashes on other Israelites. Who knows? Okay. Let's see what the NLT says. I was going to move along. Let's see. Verse 6. The same day Pharaoh sent his order to the Egyptian slave drivers and the Israelite foremen. Yep, see, foremen. See? So that's very interesting there, right? So as we continue on, verse 6. And Pharaoh commanded the same day the taskmasters of the people, all right? These were Egyptians, and their officers, those were the Israelites. All right, as we just read in the other translations, saying, Ye shall no more give the people straw to make brick, as heretofore. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. So obviously, part of the jobs, all right, was to, they were making bricks, all right? And so they would use the straw, okay? So obviously they were given, straw and plenty to make the bricks. Because here's the thing, right? They had this like mud and clay mixture, all right, to make the bricks. They would dry out. And sometimes you would not saying in Egypt, but I'm giving a general example, like a more modern day, but sometimes they'll use sand, all right? What sand does is it prevents the brick from shrinking when it's drying out in the sun. But in the ancient times, what we're talking about right now, what they would do is, because you could make the mud clay brick mixture or whatever, and it could dry, but it may fall apart, especially under pressure. Certain amount of pressure, all right, it's going to give way. So what they would do is they would take the straw and it would pretty much increase the integrity of the brick, all right. So now, excuse me, with that straw mud clay brick mixture, now you got something that's going to hold up. It's going to stand against pressure and weight and things of that nature. So you're making the good brick. So what Pharaoh did was take away the giving of the straw. And we don't really know. I didn't, I probably could have researched that, but whatever the case may be, Pharaoh is now saying, you know what? You're going to have to go out and find your own straw. All right. So now there's going to be separate groups, ones who are going to make the bricks and ones who got to get the straw, because the straw is no longer given to them. So they got to get their own straw. So now they got to go out and there's got to be a whole other faction has to go out, find the straw, gather the straw, bring it back, all right, to the brick makers, all right, so they can make, some, bricks, that are worth something. So that made the job harder, because obviously it was provided to them before. So now, without it being provided to them, you see, so the task got harder. So it goes on to say, ye shall no more give the people straw to make brick, as heretofore. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. All right. As a matter of fact, let's see what it's here. You know what? Let's see. Let's go up here. Commentaries. Let's go to Crossroads. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we got something. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Because I Googled this, but hey, it's right here. Same thing. Let's see what it says. How long is it? Not too long. It's got scriptures down there. Yeah, and not really precepts. Let's read this. It says the straw was mixed with clay, like we just talked about, in order to make the bricks. This is expressly affirmed by Philo, who was himself a native of Alexandria in Egypt. He says, describing the oppression of the Israelites, that some were obliged to work in clay and others to gather straw for the formation of bricks. You see? Well, that was only after Pharaoh said, I'm not gonna give you straw anymore. You gotta find your own straw. It says, because straw is the binding of the brick. Yep, like we talked about, all right? It gives it, that strengthening to it, where the brick can't be, broken apart so easily under that pressure. It says, because straw is the binding of the brick. Philo's account is confirmed by Dr. Shaw, who says that some of the Egyptian pyramids are made of brick, the composition whereof is only a mixture of clay, mud, and straw, slightly blended and kneaded together. And like I mentioned before, some people would make it, using sand, because sand will also prevent the brick from shrinking as it was drying out in the sun. But you could probably find that, your own Google search. It says, and afterwards baked in the sun, the straw which keeps the bricks together and still preserves its original color, seems to be a proof that these bricks were never burnt or made in kilns. Yeah, because you know, like ceramics, right? You have this little clay type of pottery mixture or whatever, all right? You put it in a kiln, you heat it up, it's a high degree. When it comes out, it's ceramic, okay? I've made, ceramic things before, okay? And one wrong drop is going to definitely break. But anyway, it says were never burnt or made in kilns, all right? And if you don't know what a kiln is, I guess I'll pull it up. You probably could have done this on your own. Kiln, right? See, it's almost like a huge, what it says right there, furnace or oven. I was about to say oven, but it says a furnace or oven for burning, baking, or dyeing. All right, so that's what a kiln is, right? You put the substance in there, and it comes out hard, and you make ceramic, the different types of items like that. Um, I'm gonna look. If I was looking, maybe some things that would come off a kiln. But anyways, it says the same materials are now used for building in Egypt. Mr. Baumgarten says the houses are for the most part of bricks that are only hardened by the heat of the sun and mixed with straw to make them firm. Everything we just mentioned, right? Except for the sand. It doesn't mention sand here, but yeah, some people will use sand, all right, which prevents the bricks from shrinking. I don't know if it's necessary or not, but that straw is that key thing here. All right, that's what really gives, makes those brick, gives it that binding force to it. So it says, "Ye shall no more give the people straw to make brick as heretofore. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. And the tail of bricks," which is basically talking about how many bricks that they're making, "and the tail of the bricks which they did make heretofore, ye shall lay upon them. Ye shall not diminish aught thereof." All right. It says the number, basically tell the number of the bricks which they did make heretofore, ye shall lay upon them. You should not diminish aught thereof. So he's saying, like, not only am I going to take the straw from them, they're still going to have to produce me uh uh the same quota that I have, even though the job is harder now. It's probably going to take them longer to do it. You still have to produce to me the same quota, so you can see, you know. So it wasn't just like, oh, straw taking, oh, do this. No, you can see how this makes our job harder. All right, and so how I stress the Israelites more. Okay, so they have to produce the same quota, all right, that they were supposed to make, and it was harder to find them, to get the material, not necessarily find, because we really don't know, but you get the point there. All right, they now have to get the straw, all right, for themselves, which the straw was one of the main proponents in making the bricks. All right, so it says, "For they be idle." What's the word idle goes into? Rapah, relax, sink, it's hardened, ban and refrain, let alone be quiet, to show oneself slack. So what is he trying to call them, lazy? I wonder what the NLT reads. But still require them to make the same, there you go, same number of bricks as before. Don't reduce the quota. Here we just mentioned all, you see, you can't make it up, man. You see, don't reduce the quota. They are lazy. Now I really want to see what the AMP says. Don't reduce the quota. They are lazy, right? Like we just said, he said they're lazy. That's why they are crying out. Let us go and offer sacrifices to our God. You see, he's saying, hey, they just some lazy asses, and they don't want to do the work. And that's why they're saying, let us go to our God and worship. That's why they're saying it. See, that's why I say I love, you gotta, gotta love these other translations, man, because they put it out plain for you. All right. Let's see what the AMP says in verse 8. But the number of bricks which we won't point though, but still, it made it way more plain, because you never know, maybe someone's, it's harder to understand it for them in the KJV. All right. So we try to, cover all angles, those that are advanced and those that are not advanced. But the number of, so we can all learn. But the number of bricks which they were making before, you shall still require of them. You are not to reduce it in the least, for they are idle and lazy. Bam. You see, that is why they cry, let us go and sacrifice to our God. Let the labor be heavier on the men, and let them work hard at it, so that they will pay no attention to their God's lying words. Wow. Very, very bold speech right there. Let's get that verse 9. Okay, NLT. Load them down with more work, make them sweat. That will teach them to listen to lies. Now in the AMP it says men, but we know that everybody was working. Let their more work be laid upon the men. Okay, so it says also men in the KJV. Let their more work be laid upon the men, that they may labor therein, and let them not regard their vain words. And once again, which it makes sense because Pharaoh really don't care too much about the men. Because remember, he wanted to stop the Hebrew babies from being born, or the Hebrew male childs from being born, because that's how you continue the lineage of Israelites. You need an Israelite man to bring an Israelite into this world. It's not women, all right? They're not that important when it comes to the seed. It's the man that's important. It's the man that's the key. Because I could take a heathen woman today and I can bring triplets in the world, and those triplets are Israelites, all right, not heathens. Pharaoh understood that back then. That's why he wanted to do away with the male child from the increase of the number of the Israelites. So of course they would being heavy on the men, right? So verse 10 says, and the taskmasters of the people went out, and their officers, right, the Egyptians and the Israelites set up over them, all right, went out, and right, it's because those officers were Israelites, the taskmasters were Egyptians, all right, and we're going to do the same thing, all right, especially Esau, Edom, all right. What's that? Ezekiel 39, where it talks about a continual. Oh man, hold on, man. Rattle the cage a minute. Let me pull up Ezekiel 39 real quick. I want to read it. Continual employment, man. Okay, let me see if I can get down to that scripture. Just bear with me a second here. Here it is. Yep, verse 14, Ezekiel 39:14. And they shall sever out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months shall they search. Because we're going to need people to bury. Because priests can't come near dead bodies, man. All right, when the kingdom of heaven is established, salvation is given. All right, he says, well, I'm going to make you a nation of kings and priests, right? Peter says the same thing. Okay, I brought you out of this darkness into the marvelous light. Nation of kings and priests. Okay, so priests aren't to go near dead bodies, man. Right? So we're not going to be around this mess. We're going to have to set up foremans. Okay, it might be heathens over other heathens, or a heathen over his own kind. All right, his own nation of people. However the case may be, we as Israelites are not going to be around those bodies, man. We're just going to be giving out the task, right? All right, so this faction is going to do this faction is going to do that faction is going to mark the bodies, that faction is going to dig the graves, that faction is going to cart the bodies over into the graves, that faction is going to cover up the bodies that were dumped into the graves, this faction is going to do this faction is going to do that, your ass is going to be building, your ass is going to be breaking the rocks that we're going to be building with, and so on and so forth. Continual employment for 1,000 years. Oh man, forgive my excitement, man. Passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months shall they search. And the passengers that pass through the land, when any seeth a man's bone, then it's what we just talked about, then shall he set up a sign by it, till the buriers have buried it in the valley of Haman God. All right. So can you imagine how many markers there's going to be? You're talking about men, probably millions that are going to die. Man. And you're going to have to mark I'm pretty sure you're not going to have to mark every single body, but every, particular zone, I'm pretty sure, because your bodies are probably going to be piled together next to each other and everything. So you're not going to have to mark every single body, but, every so often there's going to probably be a particular zone where they're moving on. There's no bodies here. Or here's another, string of bodies right here. So let's mark another zone, mark this another zone. And hey, whatever the case may be, the ass is going to be working, man. And also the name of the city shall be Hamona. Thus shall they cleanse the land. All right, we can go back there. Probably could read more, but that's all we want from there. Because my point was, the same way we labored and served with rigor, these heathens have 1,000 years of it, especially Esau, Edom. See? Especially Esau, Edom. He's the main culprit, all right, for slavery. And we're going to sever out continual employment. They're going to serve with rigor. And as hard as we serve, they're going to serve it triple. They're going to get double, all right? Unto them, give to their double, right? So everything's going to come back to them, man. But let's keep going, man. I just wanted to make that point there. It says, go ye, get you straw where ye can find it. You see? Where we're going to find a straw at? It was provided to us before. Now we actually got to go out. We're already tired. We got to go out trekking, all right, on foot, find the straw, labor the straw, bring the straw back, and then probably have to go out for another load because the other guys can now, continue making the bricks. And man, hey, Egyptians, you got something to pay for it too. It ain't just Esau, man. Okay, all you nations, man. All you nations, man. Hey, let's keep going because we done went to another chapter and start to break down something else, man. Hey, well, they all got to pay, man. All right. So it says, and the taskmasters of the people went out and their officers, and they spake to the people, saying, "Thus said Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go ye, get you straw where you can find it. Yet not all of your work shall be diminished." So he came with the decree that Pharaoh said, you ain't getting straw, you gotta find your own straw, and you still gotta produce the same number of bricks, that same quota, you gotta still make it. I don't care how hard it is or how long it takes you, you will produce this quota today. All right. So the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble instead of straw. You see? So it was like, well, damn, we can't get the straw, so what we gotta get? Let's get the stubble. Stubble, chaff, all right? Which obviously we know what that goes into. Let's just pull it up for the sake of this talking point. The husk of corn or other seed separated by winnowing or threshing. Yeah, that's beautiful because when I looked that up, talking about the straw, and we mentioned the sand, this was another thing that was used. All right, I didn't mention that, but yeah, the husk of corn. Okay, the husks. All right, so they would use that in place of the straw. Stubble probably goes into the same thing. The cut stalks of grain plants left sticking out of the ground after the grain is harvested. Yeah, you see. So like I said before we read what we read over there in the where was it from? The cross reference. All right, I actually Googled that up. All right, the other day. I remember Googling that the other day, and I went back into it before I came into this chapter, man. Okay, so these are all facts that line up, man. So let's go back. So it says, and the task. Matter of fact, let me see what this says in the AMP or something like that. Verse 12. So the people were scattered throughout the land of Egypt to gather stubble to use for the straw. So it says the same thing there. NLT. So the people scattered throughout the land of Egypt in search of stubble. So it's the same thing there. All right, straightforward. So verse 13, and the taskmasters hasted them, saying, fulfill your works, your daily task. And we just mentioned that as when there was straw. You see? I don't care what you're using, whatever you're going to use, you need to go and get it and come on back, and you're going to fulfill this quota. All right. Just like if you had straw when it was easier and quicker for you, you're going to fulfill this quota. All right. So making it hard for us. We're serving with rigor. Verse 14 says, and the officers of the children of Israel, which Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten and demanded, wherefore have ye not fulfilled your task in making brick both yesterday and today as heretofore? All right. So it says the officers of the children of Israel, because remember we told you those officers were Israelites. Taskmasters are Egyptians. They were over the officers, and the officers were over the other Israelites, which Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten and demanded, wherefore have ye not fulfilled your task in making brick both yesterday and today as heretofore? All right. Why did you not fulfill the quota? Then the officers of the children of Israel came and cried unto Pharaoh, saying, wherefore dealest thou thus with thy servants? Like, why are you doing this, man? Why are you dealing so harshly with us? All right. There is no straw given unto thy servants. You see, it's because you stopped the straw, dumbass. Of course, they didn't say that, but, it's basically it, though. What do you mean why you didn't fill the quota? You stopped the straw. What did you thought was going to happen? There is no straw given unto thy servants. And they say to us, make brick. You see, there's no straw given, but yet you still tell us to make bricks. How are we going to do that? And behold, thy servants are beaten, but the fault is in thine own people. Ooh, you see, the fault is in thine own people, which we know the decree went up from Pharaoh, but they didn't know that. They just know the taskmasters told them, and he had to tell the other Israelites, but really it came from Pharaoh. So Pharaoh's words came back around to him from the foremen, all right, from these officers. So it says, but he said, ye are idle, ye are idle. Keep calling them lazy. You're lazy, you're lazy. Therefore you say, don't they do that to us today? Right? You're lazy, you're lazy. Stick a stereotype, right? Oh, them niggas is lazy, all right? They don't like to do nothing, all right? Nah, Jake don't like to work for your ass. We weren't supposed to be working for you. But according to the prophecies, the curses, all right, these things had to happen, right? They had to come to pass. But he said, ye are idle, ye are idle. Therefore ye say, let us go and do sacrifice to Yahweh. You see, he's get the same old story. Nah, y'all just lazy. Y'all just lazy. That's why y'all wanna say we gonna go and serve our Lord, but really you just want to get 3 days of relaxation. But y'all, it's because y'all lazy. Y'all lazy. Y'all lazy. All right, so that's basically Pharaoh's sentiment. Verse 18 says, "Go therefore now and work, for there shall no straw be given you, yet shall ye deliver the tale of bricks." You see, he doubled down. You're still going to deliver the same number, that same quota, without the straw. Now get to it. Verse 19 says, "And the officers of the children of Israel did see that they were in evil case, after it was said, Ye shall not diminish aught from your bricks of your daily task. And they met Moses and Aaron, who stood in the way, as they came forth from Pharaoh." All right. It says, and they met Moses and Aaron, who stood in the way, as they came forth from Pharaoh. And they said unto them, Yahweh look upon you and judge, because ye have made our savor to be abhorred in the eyes of Pharaoh. Let's get the word savor. Scent, fragrance, aroma, odor, scent, soothing, technical term for sacrifice to the Most High. Let's see what it reads in the NLT. What verse was that? I missed it. Okay, therefore the foreman said to them, May Yahweh judge and punish you for making us stink before Pharaoh and his officials. Basically, they're saying, you made us look bad, all right? You called us out. You have put a sword into their hands, an excuse to kill us. Wow. Heavy right there. Let's see what the AMP reads. Verse 21. And I thought there was more to the chapter. Wow. And it says, and the foreman said to them, May Yahweh look upon you and judge you, because you have made us odious, something hated in the sight of Pharaoh and his servants, and you have put a sword in their hand to kill us. Yeah, because remember, these foremen, these officials were Israelites, all right? That's why they got whipped and not the Egyptians, okay? Though the Egyptians were the taskmasters, they whipped the foremans instead of whipping his own Egyptian men who were set up over the foremans who were set up over the Israelites, all right? So you see how that was structured there. So when we go back and finish this off, there's what's this? Is it Exodus 3, 1 through 4? Why is that here? 4:17. I don't know. So it says, Exodus 5:22, and Moses returned unto Yahweh and said, Lord, wherefore hast thou so evil entreated this people? Why is it that thou hast sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in thy name, he hath done evil to this people. Neither hast thou delivered thy people at all. And he shows you how quickly Moses forgot, man. The Lord told you what he was going to do. All right. Here, take the staff. Sign 1, sign 2, sign 3, go to your people. Take my name with you, Yahweh, all right? And then eventually I want you to take Aaron. You're going to go to Pharaoh. Tell him to let my people go. They may serve me, but he's not going to let you go. He's going to harden his heart. I already told you these things. You see? So Moses quickly forgot. But you have to understand, if you put yourself in that time period and what they were going through, all right, the Israelites, what they were going through, you could probably see how quickly it was and how easily it was for him to forget. So, you get the point there. And remember, Moses grew up in, I guess we could call it Pharaoh's household, all right, so to speak. All right. So, it is what it is, man. All right. This is just part of the Lord's story and how this particular event here in history played out. And we're just getting started. So that was Exodus chapter 5. So Lord willing, you will edify to next time, Yahshua. I'm going to say, Shalom.